I am ready to talk about all of the books that I read in February. I actually read 5 books last month, but I actually picked out 7 books and added them into my February TBR. So let's just do a quick recap if you didn't watch my February TBR video. I had Julia's Song is Undateable by Susan Lee, Swept Away by Beth O'Leary, Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and lastly, Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. So out of all of the 7 books that I picked for February, I actually was able to read 2 of these and I didn't get to pick up the other 5. However, if you watch my March TBR video, I accidentally picked up Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings from my 2026 TBR jar. And I decided to keep this book for my March TBR, even though I technically already picked it for February, just because I think I might need that extra push to actually start reading this book. I know there is just so many kind of like drama and stuff like that around the author, around the book series, but I know that this book series is pretty beloved. I feel like quite a handful of people that I watch on YouTube love this book series, had collected these special editions and all of that, so I just want to read this for myself and hopefully I'll be able to read this in March. All that being said, let's talk about all of the books that I read last month. So let's talk about Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman first. While I was reading this book, it actually kind of reminds me of 2 Catherine Sanders books that I love. One of them is called The Bodyguard and the other one is called The Rom-Commers. And that is because the MMC is an actor and the FMC is a writer. She is a journalist. And basically the whole premise of the book is about this one weekend that they spent together 10 years ago. She was tasked to interview him because he was casted as the latest James Bond. A lot of people do not like that because he is American, and this article that she's writing is supposed to bring kind of like a positive light around him and showcase that he is a great actor with diverse acting skills, so he can definitely portray James Bond the way he's supposed to be, even though he is American. And during that weekend, something definitely happened between the 2 of them. But when the weekend was over, they did not keep in touch. She published the article that she was supposed to write about this actor guy, and that is basically kind of why she became a famous writer. That 10 years after that article, she was still being asked about that weekend from 10 years ago with this famous actor guy. So in the present timeline, she is also again tasked to interview the same actor from 10 years ago. And of course, there are things that they kind of left hanging, questions from me as well, the reader. I guess this present time weekend plan that they were planning to spend together will answer some of those questions that she has, but also the readers, me, have. Thankfully, throughout the book, the questions that I have about these 2 characters were answered, and the ending was definitely satisfied me as a reader. So that is, I feel like, the reason why I do love this book. I also like when the setting of the book is in the entertainment industry, so I love when the characters are either a journalist that talk about celebrities, actors, actresses, screenwriters, anything like that. I just love it. I think that's why I love this book. Moving on to the second book that I read, it was Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I think I'll talk about why I have all of the books in the series even before I read the first one, and it is because one of these girls that I follow on YouTube, she said that she read the whole book series within a span of a week or 2, and that is how good the book series is. So I did read the first one and it didn't really blow me out of the water in my opinion. I think it was just an okay book. I did enjoy the reading experience. I also think the writing style is pretty good. I'm still excited to read the next book in the series. This is about Emma, who used to live and grew up in Meadowlark, Wyoming, and then she went to college and basically made a career out of riding horses. I'm not really sure what the actual sport is called. She had an accident while riding one of her horses, and that made her anxious about riding a horse again. She's pretty much traumatized to get on a horse. So she decided to go back home without really telling her family the reason why, and also not really telling them specifically like how long she will be around. When she went back home, she met Luke, who is her brother's best friend. He's actually the one who helped her kind of getting over that anxiety and fear of riding horses again. And I guess from what she remember about him when they were growing up together is completely different than who he is right now. So that is just kind of like pique her interest, and of course there's attraction between the two of them. And in Luke's mind, she is kind of off limits because she is his best friend's little sister. I just love the banter and just kind of like the angst, I guess, between two of them. Obviously they don't want to cross that line and that boundary, but just their attraction is so much stronger than like that. So the next book that I read last month was This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is the second book in the Skyline series. I read the first book before I let go last year, and that book was very emotional. If you read that book, you probably know what I'm talking about. The FMC just went through traumatic events, and I just couldn't think how I would go through it if that were to happen to me in real life. But I feel like this book, This Could Be Us, the second one, is a little bit lighter. Yes, there is a crazy thing that happened within the first 30 to 40 pages of the book, and honestly I could not believe that happened. Like, I did not really expect it at all, but that is basically the start of everything in Sol's life. Soledad, or Sol, is the main character of this book. Basically overnight she had to figure out how to keep her house and her three girls' lives stable. She actually became kind of like a lifestyle influencer, and I know some people do not like to read about influencer in their book, but to be honest with you, this was just kind of written really nicely, and it wasn't cringy at all. I actually did enjoy when Sol talked about how she became viral pretty much overnight. This book also introduced to us the love interest, which is Judah. He is a single dad with two boys who are autistic, and I guess the way they met, it was just very awkward. You just have to read it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically their attraction just should never happen in the beginning. It is definitely a slow burn romance, and at times I just want them to get together, but there are just things that she needs to work on her own before letting this love interest in. Anyways, I love this book so much. I cannot wait to read the last one. I think it's called Can't Get Enough, and this next one is gonna be about Hendrix. I think she manages like celebrities or, you know, influencers and stuff, and she has this rich auntie vibe that I definitely want to get to eventually. So the next book that I decided to read and picked up last month was actually a physical arc that was sent to me by Simon & Schuster, and this book is called Love Me Tomorrow by Emiko Jean. Emiko Jean is actually a YA author that, hold on, there's like my cat's hair in here. Emiko Jean wrote, I think, a 2-book series about this teenager who is half Japanese, half American, I think, and she discovered that she's actually a princess, and then she went back to Japan, to Tokyo actually, to learn about her family, her dad, and all of that. I do have those 2-book series, but I decided to pick up this arc first because this book came out in February. This one also has a very interesting premise. This one is about Emma. Basically doesn't believe in love anymore, or doesn't believe that love could last because her parents got a divorce when she was really young. I think when she was, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. She's now 17, and one day she received a note from the future, apparently from someone who loved her, someone who know her when she was younger, when she was a teenager, basically in present time. So she was trying to figure out who this future man could be from her present life. And in the present, she is kind of close with these 3 guys. One of them is Theo, who is her neighbor, her basically childhood best friend. They're still friends even right now because they still live next to each other. The second one is Ezra, who was, I think, 2 or 3 years older than her. He used to go to this music high school or art high school that she goes to right now. He graduated, but he's still around because he's basically helping out his family here before possibly going to like a music program like next year when Emma graduates from high school. And then the third one is this guy called Colin. He is basically her mom's cleaning business client, like his family. She also helps her moms out with cleaning houses, so she was assigned to Colin's house, and that is how they meet. Basically, he is this rich, extra wealthy guy who has like a really nice car, who obviously live in a big mansion. So those are the 3 boys that are currently in her life that could potentially be the letter writer that is supposedly from the future. So throughout the book, you learn about her time with these 3 guys, and honestly, it was just pretty interesting, but I do feel that I'm a little too old for this story. If you are a teenager, or if you're just, you know, graduated high school, like in your early 20s, you might be able to relate to this a little bit more than I do. I feel like they are still pretty immature, like the characters. There are some YA books where I think the characters are more mature. They kind of like think about life the way I would as well in my 30s, so I could relate to that. But I feel like this one, although the writing style is great, I'm not the target audience for this. Anyways, it was still such an enjoyable book. I definitely want to read her 2 books that I talked about earlier about this teenager who is technically a Japanese princess. I'm afraid that those 2 books might have similar vibe where I might be too old to read it, but I definitely will try out the first book this year. So last but not least, I decided to pick up Took and Play by Ailey Hazelwood 2 days before February ended. I think I picked this up February 27. And because this book is a novella and it is pretty short, I think there's only like 187 pages, I did read this within a day. I love Ailey Hazelwood's writing. I honestly always either pick her book or Captain Sanders' book when I am on the verge of a reading slump. So I knew that if I picked this up, I would definitely be able to finish this in a day because it's short and it's Ailey Hazelwood. Anyways, this one is about Viola and Jesse, who are working as game designers at 2 competing like gaming studio, and there's this one company, I think it's like a publishing company, that wants to create a game based on this book series that I think both of them love. So these 2 studios kind of are coming together to create this game based on the book series. The publishing company that owned the rights to these books basically decided to pay for like a week-long retreat between these 2 studios so the employees can hang out, become friends, and work together creating this game. It was just very interesting how basically they talk about the gaming industry, how small the industry is right now. I don't know how true that is, but in this book it's portrayed that it is pretty small, so they get to see each other and run into each other at gaming conferences and all of that throughout the years. I think she technically had a crush on him, but he was just kind of like indifference toward her. He was kind of mean sometimes. It was just hard for her to be in close proximity with this guy, with Jesse, for the next week, and potentially would need to work together designing this game. It was just kind of an interesting take on the gaming industry. I heard that Ailey Hazelwood's husband or partner is into gaming, and that is kind of the inspiration of this book. It was definitely a very short story, and I think if this is like a full-length book, I would definitely love it more. And I think you would like it if you like Ailey Hazelwood's writing and her other books. Like, I do enjoy it, but like I said, I just need more. It was a pretty good read. Like, it's a good transitional book, if you can say it like that, because it is a pretty short one. So if you're bored and not knowing what to pick up next, you can definitely pick this up, especially if you like her writing like I do. But I just feel like I need more. I know I should have lowered expectation because this book is a novella and it is a short story, but I would love it if there's more. Those are all of the books that I read in February. Like I said, I've already picked out my March TBR. I did pick 5 books, and hopefully I'll be able to actually stick to the TBR and read all 5 books next month. First book that I picked for March, which was The Striker by Anna Huang, and I am enjoying it so far.